A transaction being that I can perform two separate operations on the database in an atomic way, meaning that they both happen successfully or they both don't happen successfully.
Because they're both in the same transaction.
Because they're both in the same transaction. So they either both work or they both roll back. And he was saying that the guy who was building the transactions into MongoDB was complaining that he was spending all this time on a feature that 90% of developers will never use. And that struck me as this like crazy concept that 90% of the people who work with Mongo databases have no need for transactions. And it made me think about my use of transactions and just how I think about guarantees around writing data to a database. That I don't know if I'm crazy or if I just am so far off from understanding how a document database changes the way people develop. And he was also talking about in that episode how document databases are so much easier to use because they match more closely the data model that developers are already using in their applications. And it was, again, one of these things where like, I can definitely think of use cases where that's true, where I have a large, complicated document. But for the most part, I'm dealing with very small chunks of data that actually do very closely match my relational database tables.
So I'm going to jump in here a little bit.
Sure.
The thing that I've struggled with document databases for the longest time, and this is the primary reason that I am not a heavy document database user, is that I have a lot of data to work with and a lot of different angles that I need to look at it from, right? Events and reporting and registration is a lot different than a reporting. And so the management of the data is sort of a third angle you might want to look at it through. Right. And that's just like one module of my database here. So repeat that times n modules or whatever. My understanding of the document flow is like you get the document and it has everything you need for the thing you're working on. And then you update the document when you're done with it, right? And that doesn't seem like it would hold true in the data that I use in my app, right? Like I need to update this table over here and this table over here and maybe create a bunch of relationships. And it's just like,
it's not how I think.
Right. So I think that to me, like that makes your atomicity and transactions questioning here very relatable to me.